Hello, everyone. This week, I will be taking you along on food adventures. I love to cook, especially I love to make and eat foods I've never tried before. And so our books and activities this week will be about doing that. Before I get started, let's do another word puzzle. I'll switch to my doc cam. And let's see if we can figure this word out. Can you figure this word out before I even put the letters? Is that a whale? That looks like a whale to me. But this over here, this is a feather. What words do you know that begin with F and end with W? Here's a lock, and here's a lion. So there's two L's in the middle of this word. You think you know it yet? We have an O for octopus, and another O for olive, and the word is follow. Follow me along as we go on some food adventures. I have one of my favorite books here to share with you. I recently read this book on a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to share it again with you on this video. It's called Carla's Sandwich, and it's all about someone who, like me, likes to try something new when it's time to eat. Carla's Sandwich is written by Debbie Herman and illustrated by Sheila Bailey. This book has a dedication. For my mom, with love. Thanks for always leaving out the onions. To my auntie Sigrid, who always made the best cardamom bread and goat cheese sandwiches in the world. That does sound tasty. Carla brought weird sandwiches to school. Buster noticed it first. He was sitting next to Carla at lunch one Monday. Ew, what are you eating? Buster asked. It's all green and slimy. It's an olive, pickle, and green bean sandwich, said Carla. I made it myself. Would you like some? I brought extra. No way, said Buster, pinching his nose. That's gross. It's not gross, said Carla. It's different. I like to be different. It's not different, said Buster. It's gross. And he went to sit next to Leslie instead. On Tuesday, Carla's sandwich was long with something yellow and white oozing out at the sides. What in the world is that? Asked Leslie. It's my banana cottage cheese delight, said Carla, on a tasty toasted baguette. Bananas and cottage cheese? Asked Leslie, sticking out her tongue. Oh, that's disgusting. It's not disgusting, said Carla. It's creative. It's disgusting, said Leslie, and she went to sit next to Nati instead. On Wednesday, Carla's sandwich was orange and brown and lumpy. It crunched when she bit into it. Said Nati, who was sitting next to her now. What is that? I call it Carla's Crunch, said Carla. It's peanut butter, crackers, and cheddar cheese in a lovely pita bread. I brought extra. Would you like some? No way, said Nati, scrunching his face. That's sick. It's not sick, said Carla. It's unique. It's sick, said Nati, and he went to go sit next to Marcus instead. On Thursday, Carla brought a chopped liver, potato chip, and cucumber sandwich. On Friday, she bought a sardine and mustard sandwich with sunflower seeds. By Monday, no one wanted to sit next to Carla, so she ate by herself. At the end of the day, Miss Pimento made an announcement. Tomorrow we will have a picnic. Hooray! Everyone shouted. A picnic! Yippee! The next day, when the lunch bell rang, the kids ran to get their picnic lunches. I have peanut butter and jelly, Nutty announced to the class. I have bologna, said Leslie. Tuna, called Buster. Hey, Carla, what do you have? Carla didn't answer. It's probably a ketchup, spinach, and jelly bean sandwich, joked Buster. He and Leslie howled. So did Nutty. It is not, said Carla. Let's have some quiet in here, said Miss Pimento, or we won't be able to have our picnic. The class was suddenly silent. Then the children followed Miss Pimento 2 by 2 down the hall, out the door, and down to the block to the park. All right, everyone, said Miss Pimento. Find a place to sit and bon appetit. Carla took a bite of her sandwich. Yuck, said Buster, pointing at Carla's lunch. What is that? A worm sandwich? For your information, said Carla, it's a lettuce, tomato, raisin, bean sprout, pretzel, and mayonnaise sandwich. I call it the Combo Deluxe. Looks more like the Wormbo Deluxe, teased Buster. Leslie and Nutty burst out laughing. Buster rummaged through his knapsack. Uh-oh, he said quietly. He rummaged some more. Oh, he said again. He dumped everything out of his bag. I can't believe it, Buster said sadly. I forgot my sandwich. That's awful, said Leslie, biting into her bologna sandwich. That's a real bummer, said Nutty, chomping on his peanut butter and jelly. Soon everyone was eating, everyone except Buster. Carla looked at Buster. She looked at her sandwich. She looked back at Buster. You can have one of mine, she offered. I brought extra. Some kids snickered. No thanks, said Buster glumly. Not that desperate. Doris ate her egg salad sandwich, and Rufus ate his tuna. Herbert ate his salmon salad sandwich, and Barbara ate her turkey. Buster's mouth began to water. Buster looked at Carla's sandwich. Maybe bean sprouts aren't so bad, he thought. It's really quite delicious, said Carla, catching Buster's glance. Buster quickly turned away. Susan ate her corned beef sandwich, and Harris munched his taco. Fabio ate his chicken sandwich, and Gordon ate his meatloaf. Buster was growing hungrier by the minute, and his stomach growled loudly. Raisins are kind of fun, he thought, and who doesn't like pretzels? Marcus ate his cheese sandwich, and Darcy ate her bagel. Buster eyed Carla's sandwich again. You don't know what you're missing, Carla sang out. Buster couldn't take it anymore. He looked around. Everyone was busy eating. No one was watching him. Okay, he whispered to Carla. Okay, what? Asked Carla. Okay, can I have one? He whispered again. Can you have one? What? Asked Carla. Buster blurted impatiently. Can I please have one of your sandwiches? Everyone looked up. Carla smiled and handed Buster a Combo Deluxe. Buster examined the lettuce, tomato, raisin, bean sprout, pretzel, and mayonnaise sandwich carefully. He looked at Leslie, then Nutty, then Carla, and then he took a very small bite. All eyes were watching as he chewed and swallowed. Well? Asked Leslie impatiently. Well? Asked Nutty. Buster didn't say anything. He looked at everyone and took another bite, and another, and another. Oh, I can't believe he's eating it, said Nutty in disgust. What does it taste like, Buster? Asked Leslie. Is it gross? Buster didn't answer. He was too busy eating. When the last bite was gone, Buster licked his fingers and smacked his lips. Yum, he said. That was the best sandwich I ever ate. It was? Asked Natia in horror. It was? Asked Leslie in dismay. It was, said Buster, smiling at Carla. Carla beamed. I bet you'd all enjoy the combo deluxe, said Carla. Who'd like to try some? Slowly, Leslie raised her hand. Then Nati raised his. Then Darcy, Susan, Rufus, and Fabio. Soon all the kids had their hands in the air. Carla took her last sandwich and broke it into small pieces and handed them out to everyone. Wow, said Leslie, tasting her piece. This is terrific. Yeah, said Nati, it tastes great. Tomorrow I'm going to bring a creative sandwich too, said Leslie. Maybe it'll be a mustard sandwich with baked beans and French fries. What do you think of that, Carla? Sounds good, said Carla, and it's definitely creative. I'll bring a spaghetti and soy sauce sandwich, said Buster as he sat down next to Carla. Yum, said Carla and Leslie together. I don't know what I'm bringing yet, said Nati, but it'll be unique. The next day, and everyone in Miss Pimento's class brought an unusual sandwich to school. There was an asparagus and salad dressing sandwich, a pistachio and tangerine sandwich, and even a pizza sandwich. What did you bring today, Carla? Asked Buster. I'm not telling, said Carla. You'll have to wait until lunchtime. The morning seemed to last forever, but finally the lunch bell rang. While Buster was munching away on his spaghetti and soy sauce sandwich, he glanced over at Carla. This time her sandwich was not green. It was not slimy or lumpy, and nothing was oozing out the sides. So, what kind of sandwich is that? Buster asked. Yeah, Carla, said Leslie. What's inside? Nati looked at Carla, waiting for an answer. Well, said Carla, today I have peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly? Asked Buster in disbelief. Peanut butter and jelly? Leslie and Nati asked together. Peanut butter and jelly, said Carla, biting into her sandwich. I like to be different. I like trying different foods too, especially when I haven't tried them before. So I was inspired by that book to try a sandwich I've never made before. Maybe that none of you have tried before, but I could be wrong. I looked around in my kitchen and my pantry to see what I could find. I found some bread, a piece of potato bread. I found some peanut butter, and I found an unusual ingredient that's hiding in this little bowl. We'll take a closer look. Oop. Come on, document camera. There we go. All right, let's get everything here. Okay. This is potato bread. Potato bread can make a good sandwich. And you know what peanut butter is. What do I have in here? These are pickled beets. Pickled beets are sweet because beets are a very sweet vegetable, but they're also salty like a pickle is. And I know I've heard of people trying peanut butter and pickle sandwiches, which I have also never tried, but I wondered how a pickled beet and peanut butter sandwich would taste. After all, it's a little bit like pickles, and it's a little bit like jelly. It's the same color, and it's sweet, and it's also salty, like the peanut butter is. And so I thought that might be a good combination. Let's put some peanut butter on there as well. There, we don't need too much. I'll just flip it over. Here we go. Instead of a PBJ, it's a PBPB, peanut butter pickled beet. I don't know what this will taste like. I have never eaten this before. Have you ever had a peanut butter pickled beet sandwich? I haven't, but that's about to change. Here goes something. Mm. You know, that's actually really good. Would not have expected it. I don't think I would have even thought of putting pickled beets and peanut butter together if it wasn't for that book. But it's actually really tasty. I'm going to enjoy finishing this sandwich after I read the next book. Get a little drink of water too. Otherwise, I'll be reading to you with a mouthful of peanut butter. I'm glad I tried that. I already like pickled beets by themselves as a snack, and I love peanut butter. Who knew they would be good together? What if strange food combinations were all that was available to eat? And what if, instead of going to the store and buying whatever we wanted, we had to make do with whatever fell out of the sky, and the weather would be dropping food? That's exactly what happens in this story, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Definitely an old favorite of mine. Now, I noticed something with my document camera, friends. I noticed that when the document camera is zoomed out so you can see the whole page in this book, it has a really hard time with these illustrations. It makes all kinds of crazy lines. I went, oh no, that's not going to work. But then I discovered if I zoom in and focus, that problem mostly goes away. So I'm going to have to kind of move the book around for you to see everything. It's not until I get zoomed in this close that it stops having so many problems. So we'll begin. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs by Judy Barrett and drawn by Ron Barrett. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could each eat. And Grandpa was doing the flipping. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed towards the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry. After we realized the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan. All of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. I'll move my document camera out here so we can see. There we go. That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall tale bedtime story he'd ever told. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts, and 1 smaller ocean, there lay the tiny town of Chew and Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees and gardens around them, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain, and it never snowed snow, and it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas. And sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way, they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If there were leftovers, and there usually were, people took them home and put them in their refrigerators in case they got hungry between meals. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was already coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny side up eggs moved in, followed by pieces of toast, butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters, already in the rolls, blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by a gradual clearing with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. It had to remove all the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they emptied some of it in the surrounding oceans, the fish and turtles and whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back in the earth so the soil would be richer for the people's flower gardens. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worst. Spaghetti ties uptown. Record-breaking pasta fall causes chaos. Traffic snarled on Lower Intestine Street. One day, there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day, there was only broccoli, all overcooked. And the next day, there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Another day, there was a pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going, and they could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. The food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were getting frightened. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long and into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds and some without. There was white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread and rolls before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors. Roofs were damaged, and the sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean up, and the sea was full of floating rolls. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards. The birds picked at it a bit, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of its weight, so they had to close the school. Lunch one day brought 15-inch drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomach ache. There was an awful salt and pepper wind accompanied by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid the tomatoes. The town was a mess. There were seeds and pulp everywhere. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been badly damaged by giant meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the children. You see down here it spells, "Look out." So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chew and Swallow. It was a matter of survival. The people glued together the giant pieces of stale bread, sandwich style, with peanut butter. Took the absolute necessities with them, and set sail on their rafts for the new land. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town which welcomed them. The bread had held up surprisingly well, well enough for them to build temporary houses for themselves out of it. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying food at a supermarket. They found it odd that the food was kept on shelves, packaged in boxes, cans, and bottles. Meat that had to be cooked was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again. And nobody dared to go back to Chew and Swallow to find out what had happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his goodnight kiss. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside our window. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate it a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sledding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. The end. Pretty glad that this made-up story and not real life. Can you imagine having to run from a giant donut or have a giant pancake crash down on your house? That sounds pretty terrifying. I'm glad the food we have around my house is small enough to hold in my hands. So what kind of sandwich are you going to make? Are you going to try a new sandwich? If you get a hold of some pickled beets and peanut butter, are you going to try making a PB sandwich? I hope you have fun on your own food adventures. See you again for another one real soon. Bye-bye.